Hey guys, I'm Heintje, and there's one great bike park in the Netherlands that I haven't covered yet. Why that is, I'll explain later in the video. For now, let's roll the intro and start shredding. Well, of course, before I can shred, it's wise to do a scouting run. The freeride line starts with a few tiny jumps, followed by a bigger jump into a steep slope. Fast forward to the end of the day and you'll see this section has a nice flow. Now for this jump. I remember that years ago, when I first came here, I found it really scary to jump into a steep section before a turn. Now I know I can brake, and I do. Way too much. Every time. So for the table that's next on the line, I just don't have the speed. Thankfully there's this hip lip. This allows me to keep the flow, even I don't stand a chance to clear the table. Next feature is a rock garden. That didn't feel too comfy. Let's see if I can find the flowy line. Good thing, the rocks don't have sharp edges, so there isn't a truly wrong line. Some sections might work, but I couldn't find the one line. Instead this rock garden feels more like a suspension test. More speed makes it work better, only also harder on the bike, so for most of my runs I decided to bypass the rocks. After a few more turns the trail splits. The most obvious option is to go into the jump trail. First a pretty high and steep table, but not too big. The second one is way bigger and scarier. Then to end the run, a river gap jump. As you might know by now, I'm always cautious with gap jumps, so I'll session that one later. For now, let's get back up to the split and continue the freeride line. First a nice sized table, followed by two wooden wall ride corners, then to end with one more jump. Seeing my experience on the wall ride in Aken, these would probably be fine to ride, only this video was recorded the day before I went to Aken, so I didn't have that experience yet. Also I was alone in the park, so I played it safe and didn't attempt the wall rides. Thankfully I didn't need them to carry enough speed through the corners for the jump. In fact, the jump is quite small and I even had to hit the brakes a bit in order to not overshoot it. This leads to its own issue. Speed is an important factor for a successful jump, but even more important is the speed change on the lip. If you pump the lip and with that accelerate, you can really boost the jump. On the other hand, if you decelerate, it's hard to make the jump. Time to go for the gap jump. Well, next run. I kept hitting a mental block so many mountain bikers struggle with. I know I can do the jump, and even casing wouldn't be too bad. Still I didn't dare to do it. Normally in these kind of situations you ask someone for a tow-in, or at least you can debate a bit to give you the needed confidence. Unfortunately I was alone in the park, so I had to do it all by myself. After 1.5 hours of failing, I had one card left to play. I've been in contact with fellow YouTuber Dutch downhill Noob. This is his local playground. Too bad he had to work this day, but I could send him a message asking him how hard the jump is and if he has any tips for it. His reply: it's super chill. Just start at the table, put in a few hard cranks and you'll make it. That was all I needed to hear. So finally, let's do it. And of course, this might as well be the easiest jump in the park. Now before I go to the downhill line, let me address the biggest issue of this park and the reason why I called it the Forgotten Bike Park. Here we have a map of the Netherlands. Here's Eindhoven, where I live. This pin represents Bikepark Mook, this one is Beringen, and here we have Maastricht. All the spots of my most successful videos. A bit further we have the best Dutch bike park, Spaanwouden. And now for Groningen. It's all the way up here. So the issue isn't that Bikepark Groningen isn't any fun. The thing is, unless you live in this area, there are plenty of spots that are equally or even more fun closer by. But if you have to go up north for some reason, I highly recommend bringing your bike and visit this park. I'm sure you'll have a fun day. Back to riding, the downhill line. This one starts with a seemingly endless turn, followed up by one in the other direction. First big feature is a decent sized drop. In case you don't want to drop here, there are 3 options to ride around it. The drop isn't hard, it's just harsh, and you hit the next turn with quite a lot of speed. Maybe I should have chosen the first ride around option to have a better setup for the next jump, but I didn't think of it at the time, so this jump I skipped all day, something on my to-do list for the next time. Now after a small technical section, it's time for some jumps. First at table I tended to land too far to the right, but I still got to carry enough speed for the next table. Into a tiny gap jump with no real landing. Weird. Also no idea why this is half a gap. Doing my first run I noticed the gap too late, but I did manage to make it. Like I said, weird. To end this line you have the same gap jump I've addressed earlier in this video. Now I know the jump, I also dare to do it from this line, only to find out it's quite a bit harder. At least now I know I was right that casing wouldn't be too bad. That were the 2 main lines of the park. There are a few deviations possible, some with pretty big jumps, but in order to not make this video any longer, I won't go into detail on those. I also chickened out on those jumps, so that's something for another video. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. It really means a lot to me. You can also follow me on Instagram for progression updates. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. I hope to see you back for my next video. In the meantime, have fun riding. Houdoe. Ja, dat is toch lekker.